Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the King of Arrows and Kingfisher. And when thinking about this card today, I was like, this is great. We got two kings here. So, there's a lot of leadership going on, within, right? You had the King of Bows yesterday, which was that creative energy. And now you've got the King of Arrows, the Kingfisher. And this is all about, your intellectual thinking, right? Now, the Kingfisher is symbolic of ancient wisdom and lore, whereas, the King of Bows yesterday, the Adder, was symbolic of magical power and healing. So you have this ability to create, I don't want to say an illusion, but create something, all right, that is healing for you, okay? And this King of Arrows comes in, as you're walking along, and he's giving you that ancient wisdom. He's giving you the lore of, what it is you want to create. All right. He's putting you in touch spiritually with, those that have passed on that, may be able to help you with that project or, that creative idea that you're thinking about. Now, as I said, the kings rule the castle. This is all about, intellectual, air, logic, reasoning, those types of things, all right? And this is a good king to seek counsel. All kings are good to seek counsel, but this one in particular, because he's well versed in diplomatic relations. He's well versed in thought process, where the King of Bows is all about the creative piece of it, the fire piece of it, right? As I look back, that leader in action. Okay, so the Kingfisher too is he's kind of a dual guy, because he's at home in both the water as well as the air. So, he can take on some of those aspects of, the water energy, okay, because he's able to dive down into there and catch the fish that he needs to, to eat to keep himself, moving forward. But he also likes to exercise, that judgment or power. And he's impartial to help people. All right. And, he wants to help you see clearly what it is that's no longer serving you. All right. To show you along the path intellectually, you don't have to think about this anymore. So if you want to take that to a relationship, right? And let's say there was a nasty breakup with, an ex or something like that. This king's going to sit you down and say, why are you thinking about this? Right? And you give him all the reasons on the positive, right? And he's going to look at it and say, yes, but so-and-so did this. So-and-so was this. This so-and-so was this. All the things that you hate in a person, but yet you want to go back to that. And he continues to ask those questions so he can, see things clearly, all right? And then once you realize, you know what? You're right. Why would I want to go back to that person when that's all we had was bad times, right? Yeah, we had some good times too, but it didn't treat me right. They didn't do this, they didn't do that, all right? So, you think about that in a relationship context. You could take that into a work context, okay? Let's say a contractor comes in and, does a job on your house. And you're like, you know what? He left the place a mess. I still have issues, this, that, and the other thing. Or even taking your, vehicle in to get repaired. Having a brand new vehicle, not even working. Okay? He's going to ask you, why are you going back to that? Why are you going back to that brand? Try something different. All the vehicles are the same. But yet, if you try something different, you get, you may have better success. There is no brand loyalty when your car, breaks down an hour after you get it off the lot. Right? And I had a friend, that's happened to. And I asked him that question. I said, so why are you, staying loyal to that brand? And he goes, you know what? I'm starting to really consider it. That's that Kingfisher. All right. I was acting as that Kingfisher when I was talking to him and showing him that, all these negative things, it doesn't serve you. It's putting you through more anguish, putting you through more worry than anything else. Right? So if this is a person in your life, or this is you, like I was the other day, this is somebody who's going to be very articulate. They're going to be just. They're going to have moral reasoning. They're going to be a moral leader. And they're going to have a lot of discernment. You're not going to be able to go up to the King of Arrows and try to fluff your way through it. He's going to see through that. He knows, okay? All the kings know, right? That leadership potential. And with both of these kings here, trust me, you don't want to go up there talking to them, about fluff. They want to know the meat and potatoes of what's going on. They're going to discern whether you're true and genuine in your manner, okay? In this king, the Kingfisher, he's going to get to the heart of the matter. Don't come in there and saying, hey, boss, I was thinking about this. Okay, what is it you want? Or what is it, what's driving this conversation, right? Well, I was thinking about this. No. What's going on with the project? Well, the project's fine. All right, so then why are you here? Well, I'd like to ask you for a raise. Don't be timid about it. Just come right out and, hey, boss, I got a question for you. Can I get a raise? That's how you approach that heart of the matter, right? And the boss is going to look at you and say, we've been considering it, and this is how we're going to handle it. Let's get through this project, and then we'll talk about it. If this is an aspect, again, if you're approaching your boss, and this is you, have that calm clarity. Have the reasons why what's going on. Same thing in a relationship. When you're talking with your significant other or whatever, and you're not happy, or you are happy, have that calm clarity when things start getting emotional about it. Just say, you know what, I'm not going down that road. I'm not going to get into the drama. Here it is. Plain and simple. Either you love me or you don't love me. Or you're talking to friends, right? And, one of them doesn't want you at dinner. Okay, look, what is it that I've done to tick you off? You have that calm clarity. You don't get involved in the emotional stuff. And I got a feeling next week, based on, some of the astrologers I'm watching, there's not going to be an opportunity to be calm, all right, with Mars moving into Scorpio, and it's going to be squared Pluto. All right, I just watched an astrologer on that, and, she was saying that there's going to be a lot of confrontation going on next week during that square. So, if you're going through that, keep that as a reminder, all right? Bring the emotions down, have that calm clarity, all right? And seek out that good counsel, that's out there, somebody that you really trust, that you're not, in a bad position with. Now, if this is an event, it's going to be like precise information, okay? There is an event for learning Microsoft Word, right? That, this next newest edition, right? You need to be at such and such place at such and such time, for this amount of period, okay? It's going to be that precise, information where you need to be at, okay? And it's also going to be some discipline around there. This is a part of your job. So make sure that you're there on time, you treat it, with respect with all the workers and stuff like that. So, with the court cards, there's always questions to be asking. You've got 4 court cards out of the 7, and you still have 5 out of the 7 being stones. Okay, so there's a lot of security down here. There's a lot of stability going on. You're feeling very confident. Okay, and even though the page of stones is still down here, what do you need to learn from this situation is what he's asking. Okay, what do you need to learn when you're talking to these 2 kings out here, this king of bows and this king of arrows? You need to make sure that you're getting a fluff, but you also need to learn discernment with them and the messages that they're giving to you. Okay, the Knight of Stones is carrying you, so what do you need to push through, right? That King of Bows as well, okay, he's asking you the question of, where do you need to take charge? Where do you need to take charge in seeking that counsel? Or where do you need to take charge in focusing on clearly what's going on in your life? When you can focus clearly on your relationship, all right, on your work situation, on any situation that is holding you back, when you can focus on that clearly and you do some deep dive meditation on it, or you do a deep dive on it yourself and you listen to what Spirit has to say to you, you listen to how you feel, right? You're going to come up with some quality answers, whether that's with a relationship, whether that's with work, whether that's with conversations, right? And then the other question that the Kingfisher asks is, who can give you that wise word of counsel? You've got 2 kings here. Maybe he says, hey, go see the King of Bows, right? Go see that adder. and see if he can give you a direction on how, how to move forward, right? And the King of Bows is going to look at that and say, where are you enthusiastic? If this is the path that you want to go down, this is the path you want to go down. And the two kings are going to look at each other and say, you've got your answer. You know exactly where to go. So take advantage of that opportunity with the two kings, and seek the answers that you're looking for in a relationship or a career, or, whatever it is that's, that's possibly bothering you. Connect with spirit, because when you connect with spirit and you connect with both those kings, you're going to get the answers you're looking for. So that's today's card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck, the King of Arrows and Kingfisher. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, give me a thumbs up. And this is D for a Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Stay safe, everybody.